and welcome back. I am Conan Librarian with Obsidian Portal, and this is It's in the Cards. If you're not entirely familiar with what we do here, I'm going to crack open a pack of random trading cards and create a plug-and-play brand new one-shot story or adventure for you to use at home at your own role-playing game table. The point of this is to challenge myself and put the challenge out there to you as a GM to create something new and push yourself to do it in a new way. Now, I am going to today open up a pack of Pokemon Evolutions trading cards. I opened up a pack in another video and I had a lot of fun. I think I'm going to try something even more different today. Pokemon card opening is huge right now. Cyberpunk, because of the new game and the revisited tabletop, is also very popular. So today I am going to make an attempt to crack open this Pokemon pack and create Pokemon for you. Let's see what we find when we crack open our next story. I'm pretty excited to open these up. Like I said before, I haven't played Pokemon or done anything with Pokemon since I was a kid. So these cards are kind of a blast from the past and also entirely confusing. I'm going to crack these open. And just like in all my videos, what I'm going to throw up here are the plot points I like to fill out. These are the things that I use as a general outline or a tool to create and make sure there's enough to really dig into as a player. So I'm not going to look at the cards. The feed Mary here is very hungry. She is filling up quick. Easily one of my favorite just random tabletop D&D things. She also has a big long tongue, but it's buried in there. These are adorable. Okay, so the first thing we're going to find in this pack is our story. Our story is what the overall adventure is going to be about, maybe the setting, maybe just the general theme. In this case, like I said, we're going for a cyberpunk. We're going for gritty. One of the best descriptions I've heard about cyberpunk is high-tech, low-life. It's all the fantastical technology you can imagine with still this incredibly seedy underbelly and low-life living or scum or criminal element that really undercuts what would otherwise be almost this utopian technology. So in our story here, we have Doduo. I think I remember this guy. So what we have is he is on the run. He is moving. Although the last Pokemon we did, they were also on the run. Now all Pokemon are kind of mutant-looking creature things. We're doing this cyberpunk mash-up thing here, and I think what I'm getting from this is a pretty clear read on a mutation or a difference. Our story is going to involve someone or something that is not just in this setting, obviously different, because in a lot of cyberpunk there's some sort of mutagen or something going on, but in this case an actual mutant or divergent of the norm, even based in this sort of dystopian cyber reality. So that's our story, is a mutagen or a something is found not in harmony with this society. Okay, so we have our story, and by system I don't necessarily mean a computer system, though in Cyberpunk that makes a lot of sense, but the system being whether it's the class system, the security system, the computer system, the bio system, whatever it is, there's some sort of anomaly. Next we have our hook, and our hook is what we throw out to the player to get them interested. Sometimes it can be pretty simple, something as easy as, hey guys, I'll give you some gold to go do this, to some sort of callback from their childhood friend, whatever it's going to be. In this case, our hook is Pikachu. Okay. I mean, who doesn't love Pikachu? And Pikachu, I don't know if you can tell the smile on my face, even I, someone who hasn't done anything with Pokemon since I was a kid, loves and knows Pikachu. And I literally just kind of threw it out. At this point, our hook is going to be that it's a callback from a childhood friend or something familiar from the past brings them to investigate this anomaly. So they get this call, they get this message that there is this anomaly in this system. I think I want to nail down at this point, the system is going to be a computer system. And it's not an anomaly as in there's some bad or weird code. There's something fundamentally changed in the system here. And the hook is that they're contacted by an old friend from their past. Okay, so we have, in this case, a pretty classic story and a pretty classic hook. And this isn't just a cyberpunk hook, but I think a hook that's found in a lot of RPGs and in a lot of storytelling. And I think it works well. Every character has a past, whether, their entire family or village is dead, and you have some sort of callback, someone they thought was dead from their past, or someone who has a happy home waiting for them, and they still get a call from someone there. So that's our hook, is that a childhood or a past friend contacts them about this anomaly. What we need now is our hero, and a hero is not necessarily the good guy. The hero is who the story focuses around. Sometimes it's the party, sometimes it's an NPC, whatever it's going to be. In this case, it is Machop. There's a lot of classics in this thing. So, I mean, this guy, again, another classic, but our hero is someone strong. Our hero is someone brave. Our hero is someone who takes action. If I recall, he's a melee fighting Pokemon. So our hero is, in this case, I think I'm going to mix it up. I don't think it has to be about someone else. The hook is that they got the call, but that doesn't necessarily mean the hero is that childhood friend. Someone strong, someone to take action. We're actually going to say it's the party, and they're contacted by this person because they know that this party of whether it's hackers or mercenaries, whatever it's going to be, and I think we're going to find more about that here in the cards. They are known to be the type to take action and be able to handle this sort of thing, an anomaly. And I like that. I'm going to put that down in the wild cards, and the wild cards here are, in this case, story elements. As a GM, I like to not throw out. I come up with random thoughts and ideas that I don't think should just be tossed just because it might not fit in that moment. But I think a good wild card in this case is that the party themselves are actually known to be able to handle this sort of thing, or maybe investigate this sort of thing as a regular occurrence, and that's why they're contacted. So from this one card, we have both our hero as well as a wild card. Great. That so far is working well. I want to pull in some more themes from the cyberpunk genre, and I think so far this is going pretty well with that. Just because it's Pokemon doesn't mean it doesn't convey some sort of feeling. In this case, then, we need the villain, and the villain isn't necessarily the bad guy. The villain, first thing that comes to mind, since we're talking cyberpunk, is hackers, the evil corporate dude who's just cracking down and trying to own the code and own the internet. So our villain is Growlithe. And he looks regal, he looks cocky, he looks prepared. So our villain in this case is going to be someone who, I'm going to say the party isn't prepared for, which sounds kind of cheesy. Obviously, there's always going to be things they're not prepared for. But in this case, when we have this creature here who looks smug and patient, the party wouldn't be prepared because the villain is someone who is unfamiliar to the party. So they've never encountered this person before, but this person is entirely prepared for them. This villain has set a trap, and maybe this villain has even created this anomaly just to lure them in. Okay, so we have, so far, what's pretty classic and not necessarily cyberpunk. So I'm going to use the rest of the cards to create something specifically cyberpunk out of this. We need our conflict, and the conflict is where everything comes to a head. So far, we have the story about this anomaly being found in a computer system. We have the party, a group of mercenaries or professionals that's contacted by an old friend to go and investigate whatever it is that's happening, and waiting for them is this unknown adversary, this enemy who has laid this trap and lured them there for a specific reason. And the conflict in this case is going to be where they meet, where they come together. Wow. Okay. So, Onyx, another classic. And if you know anything about Pokemon, Onyx is huge, he's rock, he's heavy, he's pretty he's a pretty heavy hitter. So with our conflict, we said that this villain has laid this trap, and we have said that it's an anomaly in a computer system that the party is going to investigate. So in this case, if they're going to investigate this issue, they're going to have to go into neurospace. They're going to have to find this anomaly and confront them. And with our conflict being Onyx here, this big heavy hitter, that's the trap that this enemy is laid for them waiting in this neurospace, is that they are attacked and set upon by this Leviathan in the system. It's not just some sneaky thing, it's not just some booby trap. They are full on attacked by a beast of virtual unknown proportions. I think that works out very well, because that's almost a kind of scary space to put someone in too. In a gaming space is, they're disconnected from their body. They're using skills, but they're literally outside of themselves, navigating a system, trying to find out what's causing this, in this case, anomaly, only to be attacked by this beast in this cyberspace. Okay, I think this sounds pretty cool so far. What we have next is our action or conclusion. What happens after? What do they do? What comes of the party? What comes of the villain? What comes of the main story? Why they were there in the first place? So what we have is... Gyarados. Everyone remembers this guy. This is just a pack of my childhood. I'm actually really impressed, and having just this super nostalgic moment about all of this. So Gyarados, in this case, he's a foil card. You can see that sheen on that. That's pretty. I might put him up on the shelf just because I have so many fond memories of chasing the King Carp. I'm sorry to butcher that, but trying to get my Gyarados. So it's another Leviathan. It's another monster. In this case, I know they're evolved from one of the worst Pokemon in the game to turn into this thing. But what if we say that the anomaly that they were sent there to investigate is in fact a real issue? There is actually something happening in this system. There's this bug, and at first it's innocuous, like Stage 1 King Carp. It's a thing that they're trying to investigate, but they can't quite find what it is. All they know is that while it seems innocuous, it is definitely an anomaly. They're set upon by this villain who is just entirely taken them by surprise. And when they finally either fight this thing, defeat this thing, whatever it is, this anomaly rears its head to show itself to be just as powerful, to be just as vicious, and just as different and huge in this system as what they're set upon by. So that's what our action and our conclusion is, that this anomaly turns out to actually be something different in the system. It's an entity that lives in the system. It's growing, and it has grown. I think that sounds really good, and that's a very kind of Ghost in the Shell. It's, Spirit in the Machine, and I think it works in this story and in this setting because they're trying to find it, and when they need help, when they've been investigating and they're attacked, this thing that they've been trying to find its origins and cause and reasons finally reveals itself for what it truly is. Okay, so I actually have a few more cards, and what I want to do with those is build more of this cyberpunk feel. Maybe we're going to get a feel for the world itself. Maybe we're going to get a feel for the system itself. This needs more backstory, because that's the big thing about cyberpunk or anything in this genre is there's a world that you experience, whether it's all the way back to Neuromancer to, the new cyberpunk game on consoles and PC to tabletop, whatever it is. When you have cyberpunk, you have a world that you live in. There is a system that's being bucked. There is a system in place, and there are technologies developed that are all around that to any of us. You see them, you're agog, and they almost seem like magic. To any pedestrian on the street in this sort of setting would just be, like you and I pulling a regular vacuum out of the closet. They would have a robot that materializes, sucks that up, and whisks away back into the sky, to give a super lame example of what could be amazing technology. So I'm going to pull out some of these for some wild cards to help build the world. Eradicate. Okay. Again, another just absolute classic. I actually like this, and that falls right into line with my super lame story here. An obnoxious rodent Pokemon, but in this case, I just kind of gave an example of minor technology. This world is full of small bots. They're autonomous, they have their own technology, or rather their own intelligence, their own wills, they have their programs, they have their directives, but they build themselves, they will themselves. So the idea that maybe this anomaly is running rampant in a section of the city where these vacuum bots, the one that came down vacuum, flew up into the sky, but these maintenance bots have begun developing themselves, which we're going to say in our world is not unusual. They're programmed to reproduce, to reclaim and repurpose old bots' materials to create more of themselves within a certain standard. We'll say that they have a parameter that their nest of maintenance bots can only have X number of bots. But this anomaly, they're not just making more than they should, they're creating new types of maintenance bots and new types of machines, and they're performing tasks that they're not technically designed to perform. They are somehow learning and growing and changing themselves. I think that's a very good wild card that helps build the world. Okay, I think that helps explain this anomaly, the story itself. This really helps develop that. We have Professor Oak's Hint, Trainer. Okay, this is another neat wild card. He's a professor, he's a teacher, he gives you the Pokedex. Professor Oak is OG Pokemon. No one who plays Pokemon doesn't know Professor Oak. In this case, we talked about the Hook being this old friend calling on the party. We have Professor Oak is an expert in Pokemon, a trainer. That's what we're going to say, is that Professor Oak here, this childhood friend, is someone who's an expert in this technology, because what we would say is you're being called to investigate because no one else really cares. Why is it an issue that maintenance bots are doing more stuff? Someone on the street, again, the vacuum bot who sucks up trash and flies away, isn't necessarily going to care that that maintenance bot has also started polishing windows. But to this childhood friend of yours who knows these parameters, has helped design them and work on them and build them, it is very odd. And actually, this fits in, again, as a wild card, this really helps a lot. This fits in with the theme. You're called by this friend who is, in fact, a designer, a builder, a programmer of street sweeping maintenance bots. No one's going to listen to this person. No one really cares. So I think that helps build that world again, this extra layer of the person below calling something out in a system that others are just casting off and don't care about because it's essentially lower class. Okay, so we have a pretty good story here, and I think it really does lend itself. Not sure what this next one is, but I know I keep showing the camera, but I refuse to look at the screen to see the card. We need something to explain the villain. So we have energy. This is kind of a tough pull. Energy. We have this villain. No, this isn't a tough pull. What we have is a villain who is disembodied. This villain is the other half of this anomaly. So this villain may be, well, maybe it's not a dark side, rather, this villain is the protecting side of this anomaly, of this new creature that's growing in the system. So I know we called it a villain, and we said an unknown adversary who has laid traps for the party, but maybe that's not who the villain is. What it turns out, eventually, is that this villain is simply the defense mechanism of this creature. I think I'm just going to put it up with the villain as far as who they actually are. It's not necessarily a wild card, but it's something that has led us to develop this story more. Great. I've got 2 more, so we're just going to see what we have here and see what it does for us. Trainer. Super potion. So it's a healing potion. This makes sense. We need some sort of tech. It is Cyberpunk. This is a healing potion. Potions, healing, curing. At this point, we have the party that's been attacked by this creature in the system. And even though the anomaly becomes sentient or becomes a friend of the party themselves, the party themselves are still damaged, they're hurt, and with this anomaly being something different, being something new, it would mean that the adversary, the villain, this thing they fight is also something new, also something unknown. So they are damaged, they are hurt, they are broken inside the system. So the anomaly itself proves itself to be some sort of, well, fixer. We already said that these maintenance bots are learning new tasks, they're growing, and they're doing new things. If it sees itself as a maintenance bot, if it sees itself as a repair program, it becomes a program that can help repair the virtual world, the virtual space, and in this case, the virtual entity of the players themselves. I think that's a really fun wild card, and that really lends to something, because we see all this cyberpunk, we see all this sci-fi where, well, the Matrix, you get hurt, you die. All these other things where you shut down the program or something happens in the program, you're gone. So this anomaly can actually help heal or fix people and their neuro presence in the system itself. I am super pumped about this. I think this definitely fits a cyberpunk setting. There's not too much else I actually feel this would slide into. I know I usually say that you can take anything and adapt it, and maybe if you can adapt it, do it. Absolutely. Make this something that's your own. But I think this fits pretty uniquely into a cyberpunk setting. We need a title, we need something to put on this to package it. I'd almost want to present it to my players on a thumb drive with it written on there. You know, get a couple of just dirt cheap thumb drive sticks and write it on there in Sharpie just to hand to them. Because I'd have a lot of fun with this, write it all up. This could be something that has a digital and physical component, because I love props, I love all that nerdy stuff. The more I can do in a game to get my players engaged, the better. So we need a title. We have, Pokemon, I feel, has probably been used a million times. I think I've got something. two sides of the same crypto coin. I think it works out pretty well. I would be very excited to run this in a campaign. I think it fits pretty well, and I think there are some, while I didn't dive as far into it, some pretty good world building components here. The friend who is looked down on, these maintenance bots who are essentially ignored, and this can play into a much larger story. You could have this anomaly taking over from these sweeper bots into bigger machines, bigger processes, because there's a difference between a sweeper bot and, say, the garbage truck that comes to empty the dumpsters automatically that are suddenly barreling through buildings or picking up other things that they shouldn't to move around, whether it's landscape or cars or whatever it's going to be. This works out really well, and I am very surprised that I was able to get this kind of story stuff from Pokemon, but I think it helps that I realize these are all apparently just a nostalgia pack, so I was pretty happy to open this up and see so much familiar content here. I'm excited to open up more Pokemon cards in the future. If you have ideas of what you would do with these cards in a Cyberpunk campaign, let me know. Drop a comment below. Also, let me know how bad I butchered these, or if these are cards I should hang on to, what I should do with them. I'm pretty excited. I'm definitely going to open some more Pokemon cards in the future. Now, don't forget, hop online when you're building your campaign, your story, your adventure, to obsidianportal.com, your one-stop for all your campaign management needs. It's got more depth than a bag of holding, more features than a bag of tricks. Nope, more features than a Pokeball. Obsidian Portal has everything you need to create stories, adventures, creatures, items, characters, maps, whatever you have, hop online. Obsidian Portal's got what you need to make that story great. Your party doesn't just stay at the tavern. Why should your game just stay at the table?